Hello, my name is Jennifer, and in this video I'm going to show you Codabify, which is a web-based collaborative code editor. So let's start by signing up. Let's enter a email, username, and password. So email and username has to be unique. Username can't contain any special characters. Password needs to be between 8 and 100 characters long, and they also need to match. Once that's all good, we can submit, and it created a user for us. So let's sign in. So this is what it looks like when you sign in. This is the project view. Right now we don't have any projects, but let's press create new project. And let's create one called test. And I'll add a collaborator as well. So I have this other user that I'm going to add as a collaborator. And now I can set the permission. I can set it to view only if I don't want them to be able to edit any files. Or I can set it to may edit if I want them to be able to edit. But let's keep it at view only for now. And as you can see, it showed up in our projects list. We also have a profile menu. This is our username, email, and I can change my password. So I enter my old password and my new password. And submit. So change my password. And I can also delete my account, which I'm not going to do right now. Let's actually look at the other user. Sign into that one. Yeah, so as you can see, this user has quite a few projects, and this is the project that we just shared with this user, the test project. On the left here, you can filter what projects to view. So right now we're looking at all projects. You can also just look at the ones that you've created under My Projects, or the ones you're a collaborator in under Shared with Me, or the archived ones under Archived. So you can do a few things with your projects. If you right-click on a project, you can download the project and the project files as a zip file. You can also duplicate. So let's duplicate this one. You get a copy of Fantastic Collab. Yeah, and you can archive. It will turn up here. You can restore them. And you can also delete. Yeah, you can search for projects if you have many. You can search by title or user, creator. Yeah, and you can also select multiple projects to archive or delete several at a time. Yeah, so let's open the test project that we created. Let's open it on both of our users. So this is what it looks like on the creator user. We don't have any files right now, but we can create files, folders, upload. We can modify the project name, and we can see who's viewing. So right now, our other user is viewing as well, and we can modify collaborators. So let's look at the other user, which, if you remember, has only view, or it has the view only permission. So it can't create files, upload files, can't rename the project or edit the collaborators. It can just view. But yeah, if we change the permission to may edit and go back, you can see that now they can add files and modify things. But let's create some files. So let's say I want a source folder. There you can see that it showed up for me, and it also showed up for the other user viewing the project. I'm gonna create a file inside that folder. Yeah, and as you can see, you can both add files up here, or you can right-click on a folder. You can also rename, and that will also be applied to the other people viewing. So yeah, let's open this file, app.py, and let's write some Python code. Hello world. Yeah, you can see that it showed up. You can also see my cursor. So yeah, and I can see this guy's cursor as well. So if we move around, let's see. Yeah, we can move our cursor and it will, show up here. We can run this file if we press run. And you can see in the console that it wrote hello world and finished running file. So now we can clear this console. This is actually, it can be used as a just Python interpreter. So we can write Python code here. So I set tst to 2, and then we can print tst. We get 2. And we can also write code like this, where you have indentation. You can print I. So printed all that. It does actually output in real time, so you can write something like just while true, print hi, and then do time sleep. And if we run this, it would run forever, right? But it's outputting in real time. So yeah, we can terminate this process, and we get the prompt back. Yeah, so that's the console. Yeah, we have some editor settings as well. We can change the font size if we want a really big font size or a smaller one. We can set the this margin line here to whatever we want it to be. Yeah, standard 80, and the tab size as well. We also have syntax validation. So if I write a syntax error, I'm just going to validate this code. You can see that we get invalid syntax here. Yeah, and there's a toggle for comment as well. Yeah, I think that is it. Oh, we actually have a chat as well. So if I want to write something to the other people viewing this, I write hello, how's it going? You can see that the chat opened up for this viewer and it got my message, so I can reply, hi, just fine, thanks. Yeah, so you get a little chat there. And all these can be adjusted. The console can be adjusted as well in size. And you can just close the chat if you want, and you can just close this. And yeah, we can also upload some files. Actually, let's remove this app.py file, and let's upload some files. Let's see, app, database helper, and socket.io in it. Yeah, so this upload component, it only accepts Python files. So if I wanna, if I add a txt file, it's gonna complain that it only wants Python files. And also, if a file existed, I wouldn't be able to upload that either. But let's go ahead and upload these files. Yeah. So yeah, we should actually be able to, this is my code. We should be able to, if we change the port here to a different port than the one I'm using right now, we we should be able to run this. Yeah, it's serving the Flask app, which is pretty cool. Yeah. So yeah, you can also you can move files if you want. So you can just drag them and move them to a different folder. And yeah, you can rename them as well. Oh, sorry. Rename. This has also validation, so it will only allow you to name it something .py and not using special characters. Yeah, that's the app, I guess. I'm gonna move on to the code now. The front end is written in Angular 7, and the backend is a Flask backend with SQL Alchemy as the database library. I also use Socket.io quite a lot, both in Flask and in Angular, the front end. So let's start looking at the front end. The overall structure is that we have components, and a Angular component. They each have a TS file. This is a test file, then an HTML file and a CSS file. So each component has that, and we have quite a few components. We also have directives that can be sort of applied to components. So for example, we have a password match directive that we can use to check that two passwords match in an input. And we have some guards. We have a project guards, which will check if a user has access to view a project. Otherwise, it will navigate them to the project's view. And we have a signed in guard, which will check if you're signed in or if it should route you to home to sign in. And we have some models. So a collaborator has these fields, for example, an ID, a project ID, project object, user ID, user object, and permission. And we also have a bunch of services to help us. So for example, the auth service is used to handle sign in and sign out, to check sign in, so on. Console service used to run commands and files and cancel them and things like that. File service actually contains some requests to our server, so it's HTTP requests that are file related, thus file service. And then we have project service, which is the same but for projects. We also have a WebSocket service, which contains all of the sockets, basically, or the, yeah. So those are connected to the backend. So yeah, this is the Socket.io backend part, where we have basically rooms. We have a user room, so each user is connected to their own user room, where things get sent that are only related to that user. We have one for projects, so that's both people viewing a certain project and also if they're just a collaborator and has that project in their project's view. There's a special one for open projects as well, for things like the chat and file changes that need to be really fast, but only to people that are actually viewing the project. So yeah, that's the sockets. If we just look at the general backend, you can see some of the libraries, packages I'm using. I'm using bcrypt to encrypt the passwords. So I don't actually store the passwords. I only hash them with salt and compare the hashes to see if a user entered the correct password. I also have JSON web tokens for authentication, so you only have to sign in once in a browser and then you'll get a token, which is valid not forever but for a set amount of time. And then you also have a refresh token that you can use to get a new token when your old one expired, and that is done automatically, so you don't have to update or anything. It's refreshed automatically. Yeah, so this file mostly contains these HTTP requests that you can make. So these in the beginning, they don't have a JSON web token required, but yeah, these do. So in order to change the password, you need to send your token with the request. Yeah, these are just a bunch of requests that you can send related to users, projects, and files, and collaborators. Yeah, so another thing that's interesting, I guess, is how the file changes work. So you can code in real time and the changes get sent. That is done using it's called it's patches. See if we can find that. Yeah, it's the diffmatch patch library package. So if we go to file changed, it's actually called file content changed. We can see that we get patches from the front end. So the front end will compare the old content, the old text, with the new text, and it will create patches, sort of like Git does. And then we can apply those patches to our file content and save that in our database. And then also we'll just emit those same patches to everyone that's viewing the project, so they can also apply those changes to their editors. And when files are run in the console, or commands are run in the console, I actually use local files right now, which is not safe. You should not do that. I will have to fix that before publishing this. But basically, when someone is viewing the project, these project files will be created. So someone is viewing project with ID 14 right now. That's why we have those project files here. And if you run a file, basically what it does is it just calls Python 3 with that file, and then it reads the standard output and emits that to the people viewing the project. Yeah, I didn't mention that, but Socket.io has these rooms, or well, I did mention that I get the user rooms and the project rooms and the open project rooms. Yeah, this is where you set that. So actually, oh yeah, this is not emitted to everyone viewing the project because consoles are actually unique to yeah, that session. So it will only emit to the user room. And if there was an error, it will also emit that. And finally, it will say that it was done when it's done. And for the database, like I mentioned, I use SQL Alchemy together with Marshmallow. And basically what this file contains is these classes, which inherit from DB model. So this will be a table called editor settings, and it will contain the columns ID, font size, margin, and tab size. And then I also have these schemas. So you have one of these schema classes for each of the tables, and that helps you basically take data from the database, and you can convert them directly into responses, HTTP responses. So yeah, we have those for all tables. We have a user table, project, file, collaborator, and message. And then the rest of this file is just a bunch of pretty basic methods to manipulate the database and fetch data from the database. So yeah, I think that's it. Thanks for watching.